Kate, and I'll get Nadine to introduce her.
Yeah, so Kate manages 2 huge Canadian websites, and I love the story of how you got your promotion after the mediocre man was let go. Kate's a badass get shit doneer. I think that's one of my favorite things about her. She has really good get shit done energy. And Kate came to us because her life looked pretty good on paper. She had a great career. She has a partner she actually really likes, and but something was missing. And so, Kate, do you want to talk about that a little bit, about where you were when you started versus where you are now?
Yeah, so I thought that I was coming to Kickstartology because, you know, I'm a senior director and I really want to be a VP. And so I was like, I went to Stephanie, it's like, this is what I'm going to work on. And she's like, but that's already happening. Like, that's going to happen. There isn't anything for us to do there. And she sort of like said, like, what's actually missing from your life? Because it's not that, which was 100% true. And just kind of digging in, you know, with my first session with Stephanie, it was like, okay, what's actually missing from my life, like weirdly enough, is that I have a really great friend group, but I don't have like a local community. I don't have like roots here, and I don't feel a sense of like kinship or physical friendship. And I really want that, but definitely, like, number one, didn't think it was possible. And number two, I felt a real hesitance about being ambitious about it, because it's like, oh, of course I will be fucking ambitious about my career. I will, you know, like get divorced and then like, you know, like break off an engagement. Like, I will change anything about my life at any time. I'm really, like Nadine said, kind of like get shit done. But it was like, I can actually like view this thing that I want, like in a structured, ambitious way. And it's been great. And the most, amazing thing is that, you know, just sort of doing this program has given me tools to deal with things that I didn't know existed when I started. And I have really found myself, like, from someone who thought like, okay, like all I want like in the world is to be like vice president. And like, I have like a piece of paper from 20 years ago where I was like, that's one of my goals. I want to have curly hair, and that didn't happen and never will. But I always really wanted it. And I want to be like the vice president of something.
That's solvable if you want the hair, but yeah.
You know what though? Like, I have tried. I feel like it's just not in the cards for me. And I think that's okay. But it was like number one on my list, number two, vice president. And yeah, so this sort of like last couple of months have been like sort of a weird time, with a lot of sort of like weird news and uncomfortable experiences and a weird health diagnosis. And weirdly, like the tools that I got here for this thing that I thought was going to, you know, help me like level up my career, just have actually helped me like process like a difficult time in my adult life. And I love that I, you know, didn't know what I was getting into, but had actually armed myself perfectly for, you know, where I was. So yeah, it's been transformative. And I say that as a person who is very used to transforming, who is super like aggressive, you know, to sort of like make myself better. I don't shy away from that stuff. And it's not like I'm sort of starting from nothing, but it's still been amazing.
I do want to say that, because we talked about you a few days ago. The great quote I got from you when you're like, I want to change everything, but keep everything exactly the same.
Which is actually impossible, as it turns out. And you have to let stuff die if you are going to change your life. Like, you have to, you know, let go of it, which has also been awesome.
I love that so much. So you talked a little bit about uncertain things happening and how the tools helped you. Can we go deeper into that a bit? We're talking about, you know, control today. Talk about control, resistance, some of your experiences there and how the tools help.
Yeah, so I was really sort of struggling. I got this very serious health diagnosis. I have like a malformation in my heart that I was born with, but because it wasn't diagnosed until I was 41, like my heart sort of compensated in a bunch of weird ways and is now just totally fucked up, in layman's terms. And just sort of like dealing with this thing that I can't control, like I literally can't control it, is, really tough for someone who sort of like, kind of like makes a plan and works through it. And one of the things that Stephanie helped me with that was super, super helpful was like, just list everything that you can control. And then if like things like come up that you can't control, just like mark those down, but like focus on what you can control. And that was amazing. And it seems really, really simple, but it was like, oh, okay, now I know what I can control. And I am not going to worry about the things that I can't control. And, what I realized as I was doing that was, I realized that like basically for like the last, 10 days, I had just been angry at everyone in every situation. And it was because I wanted them to apologize to me. Like if I went to the store to buy a lotion and the lotion was out of stock, I was just like furious, which is not, who I am. And I realized I just was hoping to kind of like piece together like an apology. Like if 100 people apologize to me, that would be enough to sort of like patch together like some sort of like cosmic karmic apology, like from, the universe. I'm sorry that your heart is messed up. And realizing that that wasn't going to happen was so helpful. Number one, because it meant that I didn't walk around for the rest of my life with a huge chip on my shoulder yelling at people because I was mad. And two, because, I realized, okay, like this isn't coming, I can just move on. And then I had like sort of this weird experience the next day where my cardiologist's office messed something up. And so my heart doctor called me and he just kept apologizing. He just kept saying, I'm so sorry. This shouldn't have happened. You shouldn't have to deal with this. And it was just like, oh my God, my heart's calling to apologize to me. It's my heart doctor. But yeah, it's been so helpful. And going through things like my cardiologist referred me to Sunnybrook and they're like, okay, like they're going to take care of you. Everything is going to be fine. And then Sunnybrook reviewed my MRI and reviewed my files and said, this is actually like way too complex for us. You need to like go to a different hospital. And I was just like for an hour terrified because it's like, you're a hospital. You are actually a hospital. Like you should help me because you're a hospital. So like, he sent me to like a Yogan fruit. It was like, you're a hospital. And then it was like, okay, but actually this is better. The more skilled hospital can actually probably fix this in a much less invasive way. And anyone could fix this problem by like cutting my chest open and breaking my sternum. But this hospital can probably fix this problem without, doing any of that stuff. And it's like, what was great was being able to reframe it, being able to flip the pancake and think this is good news, but also that time where I was terrified is okay too. And I really appreciate that it's like two things can be true. You can be terrified by this. You don't have to ignore your feelings. You don't have to like shove aside or not acknowledge like the human response that you have. It's not about being a robot or like, and this kills me to say this, it's not about like getting an A on a test and like having the perfect response. It's like, this is where I am. This is my response. And then, dealing with it, flipping the pancake, kind of working with it. And I think if the course said things like, you have to like nail it out the gate and being terrified was dumb, it wouldn't be very helpful. But it's like, okay, two things are true. I'm terrified. This is actually fine. This is good news. This is better than the hospital saying, oh yeah, no, I'm sure we can like find a way to make this work. And like, let's just like get in there, like some sort of Play-Doh Fun Factory decision. So anyway, it's been amazing. It has not been what I expected. It's not what I thought I was doing. And also my career is still great. And like, I'm, as Stephanie said, like obviously definitely going to achieve on that front without this. This has been so much more.
One thing
so
from what you, one thing from what you said that I always like to emphasize is, and it's some days it doesn't feel true, but uncertainty doesn't need to mean chaos. It's just uncertainty. And there are certain situations where it's really hard to hold that truth. So, and Kate, I love the fact that you came in and you were so willing to say, okay, I'm going to use these tools wherever they come up. And sometimes I've sent you, because everybody gets weekly feedback, I'll send you back some really hard coaching. And I'll just be like, I'm saying this with love, but have you considered this? And if you're feeling defensive, that's totally okay. But here's just my, play with it. Tell me. And you're like, okay, let me think this. And you're really open to kind of going, oh, and if you're catching resistance, you're really open to just examining it, because resistance for all of us is normal, right? It's so normal. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, resistance is so normal and is often like, even though it feels hard, it's like you feel resistance for a reason, and there's a lot of fruit in what you're feeling resistance around. If every time you sort of worked on something, it felt like, snuggling with a puppy, you probably wouldn't get very much done. But when it's like, oh, that's uncomfortable, or, oh, I feel a little bit called out, that's pretty good. And, I'm never offended by the feedback or anything. Stephanie's not a dick. She's just saying like, hey, maybe look at that.
Yeah, no, she's not a dick. We check in on that sometimes. No, I'm kidding.
That's very funny.
Thank you so much, Kate.